we will compare every premium noise cancelling headphones that you can buy from Bose and Sony today.
And we'll try to answer 2 simple questions. Number 1, which of these 5 headphones offers the best value for money? And number 2, what are the nuances? What are the slight differences that might matter to you while choosing amongst these?
Namaste, we're DHRME. Do headphones really matter emotionally? Do they? All right, let's get a few things out of the way. Sony headphones, we have 3 of them right here. We have the XM4, the XM5, and the XM6, but they came out at different times.
Yeah.
The XM4 came out in 2020,
That's
XM5
right.
2022, and the XM6 in 2025. That's the most recent product that we have here.
Exactly.
And the Bose, what do we have on offer today? We have the
Bose Quiet Comfort headphones, which were launched in 2023, and actually the Ultra also a little later that year in 2023.
Yep.
And the reason we're doing this, kind of setting the context, is you can get a lot of other Bose and Sony headphones which are lower in price, are probably older, but these are the ones you can get today. So let's go. We are going to start with our favorite category, I guess, which not many other channels tend to cover, which is phone calls.
Yeah.
Which is really important to us.
We make a lot of calls.
We make a lot of calls. And out of these 5 things on the table, what do you think?
So we compared all of them. We've done mic samples and all of that. So you can check out that in the channel. But all of these are fine in quiet conditions. Let's be honest and clear about that. So if that's what you're using it in at home, in a nice office space at your home, fine. But when you go out into windy, noisy, those sorts of conditions, there are actually only 2 headphones on this table that really stand out with, quality performance. And that's the Sony XM5 and the XM6.
Yeah.
That's been a long plagued issue of Sony, but they managed to solve it.
Yes. But a nuance there.
Yeah.
The latest ones, the XM6, don't perform as well as the XM5. Check out that short link here.
Surprise.
In challenging conditions. Yeah. In like if you're speaking quietly in a windy situation or speaking quietly with noise around, your voice might cut out.
Yeah.
XM5, I think they got that balance just right.
Yeah.
And that can also probably be fixed with a software update, but we are not going there. The XM4 was hands down, I would say, one of the worst in challenging conditions. And the Boses?
The Bose, let's say the Quiet Comfort, first of all, is terrible in the wind. In noise, you heard a bit of the noise for sure. It was okay. It was passable. The Ultra did better with the wind. So that was a big improvement. But still, overall, the wind still goes to the Sony XM5, not the XM6.
Yeah. And then the Boses, for me, in noisy situations, sound like they're like in a hollow chamber.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird effect.
Processing effect. Yeah.
So that's the calls.
Yeah. And then in terms of FUCK1 controls, all of these headphones, you can answer hang up, you can change volume, all of that. But the XM6 is the only one on this table that can mute.
Now, sound, there is a lot to talk about all of these. There's an immersive mode, which the Bose has, 360 reality audio that the Sony has. There's all kinds of tricks and effects to apply. But let's say you just take them out of the box and wear them. I would say that the Bose, in general, are better tuned. I like the Ultra tuning better than the Quiet Comfort tuning. Sony goes for LDAC, which actually I prefer because most Android phones have LDAC, whether it's a Samsung or any other phone. However, the Sony does always give you more tweakability. And I think with that, the Sonys sound a bit better. That's my opinion. I think the XM6 sounds better than the XM4 and XM5, but you could also tweak the XM4 and XM5 quite a lot. But not really. None of these is, blowing any records for sound quality. But if you are somebody who doesn't bother with messing around, the Bose might actually be the better pick. Big bass.
Big boy bass. Okay.
Big boy bass. Of course, all the nuances, we've done many, many videos, so I'm not going to go through all of that. But that's what it is. But that's the sound you listen to. What about sound you want to block?
That you want to cancel out.
Oh, yeah. This is the merch. This is the new merch. All proceeds from merch for the rest of this year are going to charity. So if you buy merch from this channel, it's going for a good cause. So just putting that out there.
Yeah. All right. ANC, noise cancelling. gotta say, we're looking at some premium noise canceling headphones here on the table, so you cannot go wrong with any of these. They're all solid. If we had to nitpick, and of course we're going to do that because that's what we do here on the channel, is we're going to have to say that the Sony XM4 is the least best.
Yeah, that's probably the best word.
Yeah, so we tier all our headphones on this scale from tier S down below, and the XM4 came in at tier A. So they're no slouch whatsoever, still up there, and the rest of the headphones are all tier S.
Even the Quiet Comfort. Huh?
Even the Quiet Comfort, yes. Between that and the Ultra, there's not a whole lot of difference. But if you are in the wind, you want to be able to cancel that out as well, because, yeah, that's not pleasant. When you listen to music and there's wind being piped in, no bueno. So one thing to mention here is that the Sony XM4 and the two Boses that you have here have dedicated wind reduction modes, whereas the Sony XM5 and the XM6 do that automatically. So you don't actually have to fiddle around with an extra mode in the app.
Exactly, yeah. And then, so you're fine on the bike if you have ANC on for any of these. Unfortunately, transparency is not that great when you're biking and there's a lot of wind or just in a windy situation. But other than that, transparency, we have a new winner for transparency on the table. For a long time, it was the Bose QC Ultra, among these, of course.
Yeah.
And now we have
That one. Yes.
the XM6, which you said performed better than the Ultra.
Correct, yeah. Again, both are tier S transparency mode, but the difference is in the low end. So the low end, it comes in a lot clearer and louder on the XM6 than it does on the Bose. Now, the rest, how do the rest do? So the Quiet Comfort is on tier A. Then we go down a level, which is the XM5 on tier B.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. And the lowest and the most
Least transparent.
worst, is the XM4 at tier E. Yeah, it is the lowest.
One thing about transparency is Sony does have a lot of sliders and automatic modes and stuff like that. We'll come to that.
Yeah.
But if you want to really fine tune your transparency, Sony lets you do that. Bose is like, actually you also get a slider in the Bose, and
you do, and you can set
that.
up different modes as well. So you can do like an at home, a commute, or whatever kind of mode, and you can adjust how much noise cancelling.
And you can
want.
map that to the buttons and the.
You cycle through it. Yeah.
So you can actually, tweak both quite well.
Yeah. But the winner for transparency, XM6, then the Bose Quiet Comfort Ultra, Quiet Comfort, XM5, XM4.
There we go.
There you go. Okay.
No, battery life.
Battery life. All right. You have advertised numbers, which is quite simple here. Sony advertises 30 hours.
All three.
All three. And all the two Boses that you have here come with 24 hours. So on paper, less. But all of these headphones we test, for battery life. And we've seen that they've actually perform more. They deliver more battery life than advertised.
True.
A couple of hours, but still, that's nice because batteries are batteries and batteries degrade. And when batteries degrade, you don't get the advertised numbers anymore. So it's very nice that in our testing, it's sitting a little bit above those numbers. So, yeah.
And I also have like the XM2 right here. I'm not showing right now. But even that has survived to this day. So if you start with a good number, you're going to be able to use those products longer. So
correct.
Don't buy products with lower batteries.
Yeah. But by no means are these high for today's standards,
True.
We're seeing stuff as high as 80 hours now. But cool. For these, nice. All right, controls. A little bit of a different philosophy. Let's start with Bose. Because with the Quiet Comfort, but also all the previous headphones before this, the QC45, the 35-2, the 30, all of them
20.
had the same layout, which was pure buttons.
They had something that worked.
Yes. It was beautiful. It still is. And I love it. I'm just going to say this is my favorite in terms of controls.
Yeah.
So, a little slider for the power and the pairing.
Yeah, beautiful.
Button to cycle through ANC, track control. And they're all big chunky buttons. Yeah. The tactile feel is just amazing. You just know what you're hitting. Then Bose went ahead and messed it all up with the Quiet Comfort Ultra. Yeah. Not an Ultra decision in our opinion. You have this little touch sensitive slider for volume. Not the best implementation. Then you have a button that kind of does two things. It does the ANC modes as well as a track control.
They could have added another button. Come on.
Yeah. And the buttons are not that tactile. They're tiny now. They don't have that much travel. it's all just it went kind of downhill there.
Yeah, I think Bose experimented too much, whereas Sony, I think, has been consistent with its design philosophy, at least that we can give them. So they've always had a hybrid button and touch control thing. So your right cup is where you can swipe for volume and changing track, etc. XM4, XM5, XM6, almost exactly identical. I would say from XM5 onwards, the touch control is a bit better. The XM4 had issues with ghost taps, especially when it got very cold and stuff like that. XM5, XM6, at least I have not experienced XM5. I've used years and I've not experienced that. XM6, I trust to be the same. There is limited customization, but I also don't think you need too much customization. A big change on the XM6, it's a small change, but it's a big change, is they've changed how the volume, the power button feels. It's a dimple versus a button, which means you know exactly there are just two buttons and both are clearly identifiable without taking your headphones off.
Yep.
So downside of touch controls, if you're in the cold and if you have gloves on, it's not going to work. Upside is, it's kind of cool.
That's what it's all about. But yeah, so just to wrap this control section off, the winner, I think we can agree, Quiet comfort, all buttons. I think second place goes to the XM6 because of giving a bit more tactile feel to that power button. Then the rest of the Sonys are great, the hybrid. And then the last has to be the Quiet Comfort Ultra.
So it's not always about which one's more expensive, is it?
No.
All right. Build and comfort is also going to be interesting. Let's start with the build a little bit.
Yeah. So I think one thing that came to mind for us is that all of these are foldable that are here on the table, except for one. And that's the Sony WH-1000XM5. That's the only one that isn't.
No. Yeah, that was fine for me. A lot of people seem to have a problem with that. So if you do, fine. Then you take any of the others on this table. But Sony went back to foldability with the XM6.
And if you use the case, it's a question of, do you want a fatter case or do you want a smaller, fatter case, or do you want a slimmer, bigger case? It's kind of what it comes down to.
Exactly. Yeah. The smallest cases here, I think, are the XM4.
Yep.
And the Bose Quiet Comfort and the Ultra to some extent.
Yes. No, for sure. And another thing is headband adjustment. The older models, so the Quiet Comfort and the XM4 have ratchets on the headband.
Yeah. Let's use them.
Love it. Yeah. Satisfying. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then they went to this from there.
Yeah.
Nah.
Not as satisfying. And not as easy to, level up both sides on my head, which I really like to do.
But let's talk about the cases. We talked about the size, but I think out of all the cases, given the balance of everything, this is our favorite case.
For sure.
The XM6 case. It's not the smallest, but it's a good size. Yep. I think fits in most bags, and it has this beautiful magnetic clasp, a nice pocket for the cables inside, a nice mold for where the cups should go. It also has this kind of, what do you call this? A hook or strap, which you can actually now put inside the headphones because you don't have a zipper that will interrupt with it. So you can have it out, but you can also have it inside. So small touches, but really good touches, and every day you save about 4 seconds of zipping and unzipping, which is
and for people like us who use a lot of headphones, that's a lot of time. But like we said before, we really hope all headphone manufacturers copy this design. So please do. But comfort. Quiet comfort?
Quiet comfort.
Most comfortable?
Yeah.
I
think I have to admit. And the thing is, comfort is very subjective. So if you're new to headphones, maybe you need some time adjusting to certain headphones. But most people and most heads seem to prefer the quiet comfort.
Yeah. No, I've got to agree. I've been a long-time fan of the comfort of Bose ever since the QC35. And they haven't changed that design until the Ultra, but the Ultra is not bad either. Yeah. It's actually very similar to me.
And I would like to break down comfort a little bit, what it means.
Yeah.
One is the clamping force.
Yeah.
This don't clamp very hard. I think the Quiet Comfort clamps a bit more than the Ultra. But that's one thing. Second thing is the size of the cups. Your ears kind of fit inside them as opposed to them pressing against your ear. Yeah. And the fact that these have angled drivers, so I'm not sure you see this, but there's more space one side of the cup, so it feels like your ear is kind of suspended. So those kind of touches make these really, really comfortable, and they're light. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the one discovery we made with the XM6 is that the driver is a bit protruding in the ear cup, although that's not something that's affected our comfort so far.
No.
But it is something you notice when you look inside the ear cups. And
Correct.
So, yeah, time will tell.
Yeah. But to be honest, I have been using the XM5 for about a year.
Yep.
They are so light and they have the lightest clamping force of any headphones
Yes.
that I've used, that I find these the most comfortable, but that could just be me.
Yeah.
The XM6, on the other hand, have gone back to a stronger clamping force.
Yes.
So yeah.
So yeah, I think the Bose wins out. Maybe kind of similar to the XM5. It really depends because it's so subjective.
Yeah.
I get the whole light part for the XM5.
Yeah.
Personally, I felt like there was a bit more heat generation and less padding and all of that on the
Correct.
Sony series.
That's another aspect.
But if you're picking something from the Sony series, yes, the XM5 is the best. For Bose, you can't go wrong with either of these.
I think the XM4 is also pretty decent.
Yeah.
It's also pretty comfortable. I've used it quite long. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the heat was my hot boy. No,
Your
okay.
hot boy.
Let's go.
New merch.
All right. What about the extra features that are packed into these headphones? and
Premium
apps?
headphones, you have to have
Yeah.
everything in it. So most of these have all the basics, we'll say, like a wear sensor, is you remove your headphones and the music pauses automatically.
Yeah.
They all have cable connections for audio. They all have, I don't know, an app, which is just different in the case of Sony and Bose.
Yeah.
In the case of Sony, that app is feature vomit. We say it's like, it started out as a nice app, then they kept adding features and they kept adding features, and it just grew to this enormous size, which they now have covered with a new screen, which is like, this is the screen you see when you start up, but when you go into it, you see
the mess.
everything else. So yeah, that's the Sony situation.
But hey, if you're a tweaker,
Yeah.
you want as many options as you want. Hey, no judgment.
Yeah.
You get it on the Sony. That's for sure. Bose, on the other hand,
It's smart. It does everything it needs to.
yeah.
Maybe not to the extent Sony does, but it's fine.
Yeah. It doesn't have things like speak to chat,
Yeah.
right? Or tap the headphone. What is it?
Yeah. Quick attention.
Quick attention. That's the one, right? It doesn't do all of that. So, but it's got a wear sensor. You can adjust the noise cancelling levels. You can see your device list of connected devices, all of that.
Yeah.
And does it well. I much prefer this, but that's who I am. I like, the basics in the app and that's it, and more or less set it and forget it. But yeah, like we said, tweakers will love the Sony implementation.
Yeah.
But I briefly mentioned multipoint, and I've got to say, I was really disappointed with Bose, especially on the Quiet Comfort Ultra, because they really messed up the multipoint situation. There was something going on with it being paired to multiple devices and some channel confusion happening. Whereas I had it connected to the MacBook, I had it connected to my phone, and I was just listening to music on my phone, and it would just pause. I hit play. No, it goes back into pause. Play, pause, play, pause. Some reason the MacBook or some other device was taking over the connection, even though there was nothing playing on that other device.
Yeah.
Something they still need to figure out and fix. I'm not the only one with this issue. The internet is full of it.
And yeah, that's kind of the downside, but there is an upside as well, right? On the
Yeah.
Bose. You can even switch off multi-point, but still use multiple devices.
Correct.
Because it has an option to cycle through devices. So if you've connected to phone A before and then phone B now, you hit the button, it goes back to phone A. Hit the button, goes back to the previous device.
so
Kind
cool.
of cycles
Yeah.
through that whole thing.
Yeah.
So that's a positive feature, but I really prefer the multi-point on these boys.
Yes.
These are way better. They have a device list in the app. They do well. It always works. Even with LDAC now, you can do multi-point.
And they have Pull Connect.
And oh yeah, that's a very underrated feature for those of you who don't know what that is. If you've already paired to a previous device, but you're connected to two other devices now, you can go to that device in the Bluetooth menu, choose your Sony headphones, and boom, it pulls the connection that way. Otherwise, many other devices don't let you do that.
No.
And that means you have to unpair,
Go into pairing mode.
go into pairing mode,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So Sony multi-point for me, way better.
Yep. The better implementation. Yep. Common issues on these headphones that people should know about.
A lot of common issues on these headphones. So the one we have here, the XM5, is the white one.
Yeah.
But our black one has issues. It's actually right there. So he's coming back with the black XM5s. Oh, that zipper takes so long. It's so annoying. No, just kidding. So this is a black Sony WH-1000 XM5, which I have daily driven like a mother. And the one issue physically I have with this is that it doesn't stay in place. You see this guy? it falls. So essentially, I can't adjust this anymore. So I'm not given this to repair to Sony just so that we can keep showing this in videos. But it's important to know. And yeah, that is not the only issue the XM5 has. The XM4 has had hinge breaking issues. XM5 has hinge breaking issues. A lot of them reported.
Yep. The XM6 is too new for that. But one thing that the XM6 has done is change the way the ear cups fold. And I don't know if you guys are particular about this, but there are a lot of people out there that have a certain preference. It's like the toilet paper, right? Should the paper fold
Over
come out
or under?
over or under? Yeah. So this is like, should the ear cups be folded outwards where the cups are exposed, or should they be downward?
Something to be said about both, right? If it's really hot and you sweat it, it's nice when you expose it outwards.
Right, that's true.
Dries.
It should ventilate.
And if you have like bony bones,
yeah.
and you put it on, and it can kind of hurt you on the hard side, but the soft side is better. So yeah, there's something to be said for both. But the problem there is they don't swivel 180 degrees. So this is fully swiveled, but when you go this way, kind of almost goes there. So what people are also going to do is do that.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Yeah, possibly. Okay, that's the headband issues. I think it's generally been headband issues with Sony, right?
Yeah.
And with the Bose, though, it's been ear cup and headband kind of issues. So we've had quite a few models of Bose headphones. Not only us, I know a lot of people who have the headphones as well. And the same issue happens is that there's some kind of weird mold that starts forming on the
ear cups.
And I think maybe it's a good idea to keep the silica gel packs.
I think they keep it there for a reason.
Yeah, I think we would suggest keeping them in the box if you are okay with that, because it'll, absorb the moisture out of the case and prevent mold from forming. But that's a typical issue with all of the Bose headphones. And one other thing that I've noticed is that they tear a lot near the seams.
I guess that's the price of comfort.
Yeah, but the Quiet Comfort Ultra, I think, may have changed that.
May have.
So
far, no issues. We use it quite a lot as well. Of course, the older models like the 700 that had their own issues. We're not talking about those right now.
Correct.
But
Then the last two issues on Bose, one we mentioned already was the multi-point. That needs to be fixed for sure. And the other thing that they've introduced with the Ultra is the powering on situation, the powering off. So they kind of went with this AirPods Max philosophy of, hey, you don't need a power button. You can just remove the headphones and it'll automatically power off. And you just wear them again and they power on. Yeah, it doesn't work as advertised because, first of all, they sometimes don't turn on when you put them back on your headphone, on your head. And sometimes it just takes, not sometimes, every time, it takes a long time.
Like 7 seconds, I think we measured.
Yeah.
From pressing it and coming.
It is so slow, and everyone's complaining about this. And I don't know why they can't change this with a software update.
I think the reason they're doing that is they're measuring your ear canal in real time, and the chime goes through your ear.
Yeah. But yeah, it's maybe calibration priority versus user friendliness. I'm not sure, but yeah. So those are the issues that we've faced with both of these, let's say, brands and models. All right, so looking at the pricing on all of these headphones, coming back to our first question that we asked ourselves, what's the best value for money? So both the XM4 and the Quiet Comfort from Bose, the list price is $350. But list price is list price. No one's buying them for list price. So the XM4 can easily be had for around $220. Whereas the Bose can be had for around $250. Again, XM5 list price is $400, but they're quite cheap, around $290. I think the prices dropped further because of the XM6. The XM6, because it's new, is still $450, and the Quiet Comfort Ultra is the same, $450.
Yeah. So actually, I was going to say XM4.
Yeah.
But now I'm changing my tune, and I'll say XM5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because XM4 has issues with transparency and phone calls.
Yep.
Those are the two biggest issues.
Yeah.
I don't mind the foldability. I don't mind the size, whatever.
And the phone calls are actually the best.
The best
on this table.
Yeah. And these products you are using for things more than just sound. So again, if you want just sound quality, first of all, don't buy these kind of products. But secondly, out of these, XM5 is not bad.
It's not bad.
Yeah. It's weird. We had decided it would be XM4 before this video, but just while looking at the prices, I think I would put in that extra bit of money and not suffer through my phone calls. It's like a huge deal for me.
Yeah. Again, that it really matters what you're looking for. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you want to save money and you don't care about calls so much or transparency, the XM4 is still solid, and they go for, I think they even go for under 200 if you go with like renewed or, refurbished models. We added nuance to all of these headphones. Now, if money was not an option, which one here on the table would you pick?
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. I think I'm going XM5 again.
You're going XM. I don't blame you. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I see. XM6 sounds objectively better than the XM5.
Yeah.
The noise cancelling is a bit better. The transparency is definitely better. But the calls leaves something wanting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What would you pick?
I'm a bit conflicted.
Yeah.
So if I think with my head, I am definitely going for the XM5.
5 again?
Yes,
Okay.
again. Because of calls, because of ANC. I think it's just the value for money just makes sense. But if I say, hey, which headphones would I enjoy picking up and using, traveling with? Because it's a convenience product at the end of the day. I'm going with the quiet comfort.
Wow,
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? The calls are horrible.
I know.
Then pick the XM4.
Yeah.
But yeah, comfort, I get it.
Comfort, yeah. That's the thing. Comfort, buttons. I love the all buttons.
True.
I pick these up and I know exactly how I need to use them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a personal issue because we go through so many headphones, the control schemes are different.
Yeah.
With this, I never doubt. It's just muscle memory. I don't know what it is because...
No, I gave the Ultra a fair shot.
Yeah.
It wasn't
right?
great.
No. So I enjoy it. I just do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can see why these and the XM4 are still very much out there in the wild and seen quite often on people's heads.
Yeah. Yeah, and thing about Bose headphones is also they generally sound better out of the box. They have big bass and all that, of course, but they sound a little less muddy than the XM series. And comfort. Yes, I can see why you make a case for this. I absolutely understand.
Yeah.
And there's a case to be made for the XM6 as well, for that matter. Right?
Yeah.
It sounds great and it's foldable. It's the best noise cancelling, best transparency. The case to be made for the Ultra as well.
Yep.
And it's a case to be made for the other two cheap ones. So it's really...
It's tough.
Yeah, it's these are all very good headphones. Let's start with that because otherwise, some of these headphones were sent to us. Most of them we bought with our own money. Check out the disclosures down below. It's not a sponsored video. It's just our real life experiences. But who are sponsoring us are you guys through the Patreon and YouTube memberships and these wonderful people in the tested tier, as well as
a big thanks to our Fuckman tier. Jay, Rachel, Paula, and Rads Panda. Thank you all for extra very, very much.
You've been cancelling out the noise.
And we've been DHRME.
Do we?